Hello everyone and welcome to another bins video. This is the Hampton Bins in Virginia and I am going to show you all of the books. You're going to watch me dig through the books. I am a book reseller as well as literally everything else. About a third of my business is reselling books, and a lot of the sourcing I do for my book inventory is here at the bins, and that is because I'm very lucky in that our bins charges things by item. It's 25 cents for paperback and 50 cents for hardcovers. And if you find a set that happens to be complete, they will actually only charge you 50 cents the hardcover price for the set. So like if you found it like it had a slip cover for it and it was like, a box set of something, they would actually only charge you for one book. It's pretty great. And as you can see here, when I go through the books, I do straighten them. I put them to spines up so that way people can see what the books are. I do this because it makes sure that I don't miss anything at the very bottom. It also makes it so that way hopefully some of these books, when I'm done straightening them, will find a home somewhere else because it's easier for other people to shop. I do try to make things better when I go somewhere than worse, and there were definitely plenty of people at the bins today that were trying to make everything worse for everyone, which was very frustrating for me, but it was okay. I just decided to let it go, mostly because of the fact that I was actually only doing a 3-hour shopping trip this day. I was meeting my mom for lunch, so I spent about an hour in the clothing and I spent 2 hours here in the books, which was not enough time because there were actually 7 bins of books this day, so I actually only got to straighten half of them before I moved over to the clothing. If you want to see what the clothing items I picked up, you are welcome to look at the link above, and that will be there. Now, I do put all of the books that I want to look up at the top to make sure that, because, you don't know what you don't know. And while I do have a pretty well-rounded knowledge as far as books go, there are some titles and authors that I don't know and not familiar with, so if I feel like it might be valuable, I do set it aside so that way I can look it up later, or either when I'm done with the books or when my stack is too high and they're starting to fall off of my cart. Normally they're starting to fall off my cart, so I need to look them up and get rid of them. I loved this. This was so cute, but I just let it go. I have talked before about how some children's books are valuable. That was not one of them. But I'm going through, I pick up all kinds of books. I pick up cookbooks, I pick up vintage paperbacks, I pick up hardcovers. I've been asked before, whenever I show digging through the books, if I will pick up books without dust jackets. I will, but it depends on the book. It always depends on the book. Some books without dust jackets are valuable because of the fact there aren't that many of them, or because they're very old, so the likelihood of them having a dust jacket is non-existent. Some books don't have dust jackets, like, a nice leather-bound edition of a classic work of literature is not going to have a dust jacket, but some of them actually do. So it is, as always, check comps, look it up. I will state that not every book will have an ISBN number, and not every book is going to have a barcode. So books that do not have barcodes are normally published before 1978, or they are a book club edition of a book, because the way UPC barcodes work is that they were mandated in 1978 on all items made for sale to the general public. So if it is a book club edition book, it is not made for sale for the general public. It was only available to those who were members of the book club, so that way they didn't have to include the barcode. Also, some books might not have barcodes but will have ISBN numbers, because maybe it was shrink wrap and it had a barcode on the shrink wrapping, or a sticker. Now, this is a very old cookbook, and it did have some condition issues, but I do believe this is the first edition, or one of the first editions. It's like the second print. It's from 1944. It's Good Housekeeping. It's one of the first editions of the Good Housekeeping cookbook, and I did do the repair work on that, which I will talk about in the haul. But I did pick that up. That is selling consistently, depending on the condition of the book and the printing, between, $10 to $35. It just depends. That one, once I fixed it, is in much better shape, so I will list it probably around the $20 range and see what happens. And again, some of you may not want to straighten the books. I totally understand. It does take more time. But as I mentioned before, I do take the time to do this because honestly, all of these books you see here, if someone doesn't buy them, they will probably end up in a landfill. My Goodwill doesn't really do lots as far as like pallets for people to buy afterwards. Some Goodwills do, so you know you won't have to worry about all of the books ending up in the landfill, but I don't think the one in Hampton is like that. So again, sustainability is a big part of why I do and love reselling, and so the more of these books that I can save by making it easier to shop, the better. Most people are really nice when I do this. They thank me, and that's very sweet of them, and I just tell them I appreciate that, but this is more for me. I have found gift cards at the bottom of these bins. I have found like little small books that are valuable. That was new, but it was also an Ollie's book, so chances are that there are just so many of those, even in new condition, it's not worth picking up. This is Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover is a very popular romance, like easy fiction author. That is a copy of Verity in hardcover. I do know that I will definitely be able to sell that. I actually recently sold a lot of her books. I had 3 trade paperbacks of hers that I actually got here at the bins. Normally what I like to do is if a single book is not necessarily worth it for reselling, I will pick up lots of 3 or make lots of 3 and then sell them that way. And as soon as I added a 3rd book, it immediately sold for my full asking price. So I do know Colleen Hoover will sell. That is a single hardcover, so I'm not sure if maybe I will need to wait until I get some more or if it'll sell on its own. But I did pick it up because I did just sell a Colleen Hoover book lot and would know that that would go. And if, honestly, I've talked about it here on my channel before that I actually have a 3-pronged strategy for reselling books. I have, when I pick up books here at the bins or pick up books in general, I will pick up books specifically to only list on eBay. I will pick up books specifically to only list on Whatnot because I do have a following over there on Whatnot for vintage genre books. So that would be horror, fantasy, and science fiction because I do also have a book channel, and those are the type of books I review on that book channel. And then also for immediate resale, and by immediate resale I mean taking it to a buy-sell trade shop. There is a secondhand shop here in Newport News, Virginia, 2nd and Charles. I love that place. I highly recommend if you have one near you, go check it out. They're amazing. And I have dialed in what they will buy. So I know that Colleen Hoover book, if it is not worth it to resell on eBay by itself, that the 2nd and Charles will take it from me gladly and pay me more than the 50 cents that it cost here at the bins. So I do all of those. Today, as far as the bins goes, it was kind of not as good as it normally is. Normally I end up with at least 1 box of books to sell and Whatnot, 1 box of books to take to 2nd and Charles, and then a couple of boxes of books to sell on eBay. But the bins, I don't know if it was a combination of the fact that I didn't spend 4 to 5 hours here, which is what I would normally spend if it's a 7 bin book day or 7 book bin day, or if it was just because they weren't hitting. So I'm going to go ahead and give you to other Bob now, and she is going to do the haul for you of all of the books that I'm going to list on eBay. Hello and welcome to the haul, y'all. You guys get to see a different part of my filming space that you don't normally see because I am showing you the books that I picked up, and these are all the books that I'm going to or have already listed up on eBay that I specifically got to only list up on eBay. And I'm first going to show you this beautiful set of antique books. It fills up this whole box. These do have condition issues. I just disclosed them, but because they are antique, people are normally a bit more forgiving. Some of these are from 1917. Some of these are from 1964. It just depends. But they are the Yale Shakespeare. The actual full complete lot would have 40 books. I was only able to find 29 of them. So I will just disclose that. And if you can see, the actual front and back covers are bright blue, but the spines are not, and that is because they are sun faded. Wherever these books were located, they were probably located somewhere that had a lot of sun. I do have blackout curtains in this room specifically for that reason, so that my own personal books don't get sun faded. This one is The Tragedy of Hamlet, but this whole box is full of them. The comps are all over the place. I'm guessing it just depends on the condition and how many and which ones. I see some lots of these sell for like 30 bucks. Some lots of these sell for like 100 bucks. They're all the same. It just depends. So I'm gonna aim for 40 plus shipping and see what happens. But yeah, I also, whenever I do big lots like this, because there are people that want not to read these books but want them for vibes alone, and so I will take a stylized shot for them so that way they can picture how beautiful it's going to look. Staging companies will also buy these as well for that purpose. Decorators will buy books like this as well, because you know, people have more money than time to decorate their own home, so they'll have built-ins that need to be filled with books, but they never plan to read them, which makes me sad. I have every intent to read every single one of these books. Every book that I buy for myself. Is that probably going to ever happen? No, but the intent is there to read them all. I also found my book journal. This is a Barnes & Noble print. I have bought and sold this exact journal multiple times. This was originally printed in 2022. It is brand new, unwritten. These are really great. I've talked about before how I'll pick up unused new journals all the time at the bins. This is a great book. This is Shrimp Collards and Grits, Recipes, Stories, and Art for the Creeks and Gardens of the Low Country of North Carolina. Several of these are listed, several of these are sold. Mine is not signed. If you get a signed one, that can go for $40 to $50, but these normally are selling between $15 to $25 depending on the condition. I might try some of these recipes in here if it doesn't sell within a certain amount of time. I have a pretty great collard recipe already. There are a lot of seafood recipes in here, which I cannot eat because I'm allergic. And now you know something new about me that you maybe didn't know before. I also found several brand new copies of Swift Rivers by Miggs, Cornelia Miggs. This is a Newbery Honor book. I have like 7 of these. I would have actually had like 20 of these, except there was a bookseller there that she just throws the books around, and for that reason a lot of the books that would have been in brand new condition were no longer in brand new condition because she threw them around and they got dinged up, which always annoys me, and again is also why I stack things neatly, so that way they stay in the condition they were in when they were put in the bins. But that is, again, a me thing, and I can't expect everybody to do the same things that I do. That's not fair. Another book in brand new condition. This is The Jedi Academy, Return of the Padawan by Star Wars book. Little kid book, not a little kid book, kind of like late elementary school, early middle school, you know, around the 9 to 12 age for this. So there is that in new condition. And then in pre-owned condition, I have the entire trilogy, the entire Breathing series by Rebecca Donovan. I have Reason to Breathe, which is the first book, Out of Breath, which is the third book, and Barely Breathing, which is the second book. So this got put up as a set. I also got an entire other box of books, but that is going to be up on my book channel because all of those books are going to go up on Whatnot if you want to watch that, or maybe see the book hauls or see more book hauls for me and what I pick up for my reselling business. I do recommend you following my book channel. I also review books over there of the things that I have read. It's a lot of genre fiction, fantasy, science fiction, and horror. In addition to the books that I just showed you, and then the books that are up on my other channel that I picked up this day. I also have 2 books that I repaired, and so I'm going to throw you to Other Bob to show you those 2 books. Okay, so these are the 2 books that I got at the bins that I needed to repair because the cover came away from them. This is a devotional, the Marian's Sunday Missal. This is from the 50s. It is very much written in, but that doesn't matter. 1957 there. The plastic cover was coming off of this, so I just re-glued it back on. Same thing with this. The actual front cover and the back cover were in good shape, but it was unglued. The cover was unglued here where the binding is, so that is now reattached. Again, you can see there are condition issues. This one, because it was a cookbook from the 40s, looks like it got a little too close to the stove or oven that was being used, but now this can find a new home. That looks not good, but that's a personal opinion, I guess. But here you have the Good Housekeeping Cookbook. This one's from 1944, and this is one of the few books that I've ever seen that doesn't have the wartime stamp. Normally books published between 1942 and 1945 have a rationing note that says this book was published in accordance with the ration regulations from the Department of Defense, something like that. This one doesn't have that, so maybe cookbooks during that time period were exempt. But here's that. Those are all the books that I have to show you today. I hope you learned a little bit today and or like the video in general. I will hopefully see you in my next one, which will be a What Sold video. And until then, bye. Bye. Hero, hero. I wanna be a hero, hero.